Tonight, a door inside your soulmate's family has been slammed so hard that nobody in that house can pretend everything is normal anymore. Your name came up. And the moment it did, the entire atmosphere changed. What started as a quiet conversation became an argument. What started as a question became an accusation. And what started as your soulmate trying to protect something private turned into one of the biggest confrontations they have had with their family in a very long time. But here is the part you need to hear. Their family was not fighting with them because they hated you. They were fighting because they believe you deserve to know the truth. A truth your soulmate has been carrying alone. A truth they have almost told you more than once. And the reason they keep stopping themselves is exactly what caused everything to explode. Because their family finally looked at them and said something they could no longer ignore. You cannot keep this person waiting forever. Your soulmate went silent. Nobody expected that reaction. They expected an argument. They expected denial. Instead, your soulmate lowered their eyes because deep inside, they knew their family was right. There is something they have not told you. And before this message ends, you are going to understand why their family is putting so much pressure on them to finally confess it. Because this is not simply about attraction. It is not simply about missing you. It goes much deeper. Your soulmate has already imagined a future with you. Not once. Not casually. Repeatedly. They have imagined what it would feel like to wake up knowing you are truly theirs. They have imagined introducing you differently, not as someone they are talking to, not as someone they care about, but as the person they chose. And that is exactly where the problem began. Because their feelings became more serious than they ever intended. At first, they believed they could control everything. They thought they could keep their emotions quiet. They thought they could take their time. They thought you would somehow understand their silence. But their family noticed something changing. They noticed how your soulmate reacted when your name appeared. They noticed the sudden silence when someone asked about love. They noticed them checking their phone. They noticed them becoming defensive whenever someone questioned their decisions. Most importantly, they noticed that your soulmate was emotionally somewhere else even when physically sitting right in front of them. Eventually, someone in the family asked the question everyone had been thinking. Is this because of that person? Your soulmate knew exactly who they meant. You. And instead of answering directly, they tried to change the subject. That was mistake number one. Because the family member asking the question already knew more than your soulmate realized. They had seen enough. They had heard enough. And they had connected the pieces. So they asked again. Are you in love with them? Silence. Your soulmate could have laughed. They could have denied everything. They could have said, no, you're imagining things. But they didn't. And sometimes silence is louder than confession. Someone across the room immediately said, I knew it. That was when the argument started. Your soulmate became defensive. Stay out of this. But their family refused. Because from their perspective, they have watched your soulmate struggle with these feelings for too long. One person told them, if you love this person, tell them. Your soulmate replied, it's complicated. And that sentence changed everything. Because someone finally asked, "What exactly is complicated?" Your soulmate did not answer. So another family member said something that hit them much harder. "It's only complicated because you keep hiding the truth." Your soulmate stood up. They were angry now. Not because the statement was completely wrong. Because it was painfully accurate. There is something they are afraid to admit. And their family knows it. Your soulmate is afraid that when you finally learn how deep their feelings actually go, you may no longer trust them. Think about that. The very person who wants to come closer to you is terrified that their delay may have already pushed you too far away. They have wondered whether you are becoming tired. They have wondered whether someone else could enter your life. They have wondered whether one day they will finally gather enough courage to speak, only to discover that they waited too long. That fear has been eating at them. But that still was not the biggest revelation of the night. Because during the argument, one family member exposed something your soulmate had apparently said about you privately. Something they never expected to be repeated. Your soulmate had once admitted, "If I lose them, I don't think I'll ever find another connection like this." The room went quiet. Your soulmate stared at the family member who revealed it. They could not believe those words had just been repeated aloud. Because suddenly there was nowhere left to hide. Everyone understood. This was not a passing crush. This was not curiosity. This was not loneliness. Your soulmate had already emotionally chosen you. And that is when their family became even more frustrated. Someone asked, "Then why are you treating this like you have unlimited time?" Your soulmate had no answer. Because they don't. None of us do. And your soulmate is beginning to understand that. The argument became intense because different family members had different opinions. One person believed your soulmate should contact you immediately. Another believed they should give you space. Someone else said they needed to stop being afraid and simply tell you everything. But then another voice entered the conversation. A person who had been unusually quiet. And what this person said shocked your soulmate more than anything else. They said, "You are not afraid of telling them the truth. You are afraid they will say they already knew." That sentence landed differently. Because there is a possibility your soulmate has never seriously considered. Maybe you have already felt it. Maybe you noticed the way they pulled close and then suddenly became distant. Maybe you noticed conversations that felt unfinished. Maybe you sensed there were words sitting behind their silence. Maybe you wondered why they could disappear emotionally and then somehow return with even stronger energy. Your soulmate thought they were hiding everything perfectly. Their family knows they weren't. And perhaps you know too. But there is another secret underneath all of this. One that explains why your soulmate has been hesitating. They are not only afraid of rejection. They are afraid of commitment because commitment would force them to change parts of their life they have been avoiding. Being with you would require honesty, consistency, courage. It would require them to stop running whenever emotions become intense. It would require them to make decisions they have postponed. And their family knows this. That is why one person finally told them. You keep saying you want this person, but wanting someone means nothing if you refuse to show up for them. That hurt. Your soulmate became angry. They said nobody understood the situation. They said there were things the family did not know. And then came the revelation nobody expected. Your soulmate admitted there had been a moment when they were extremely close to telling you everything. A message had been written. A confession. Not a casual text. A real confession. They had typed words explaining what you meant to them. They had apparently stared at that message for a long time. Their finger hovered over send. Then they deleted it. The family could not believe it. You deleted it? Yes. Why? Your soulmate gave an answer that made everyone quiet. Because if I sent it, everything would become real. There it was. The truth underneath the truth. They are terrified because you are real to them. The feelings are real. The consequences are real. The possibility of losing you is real. And once those words are spoken, they cannot hide behind uncertainty anymore. But their family has had enough. They told your soulmate something they did not want to hear. You are going to lose them by trying not to lose them. Read that again in your heart. Because fear can create exactly the future we are trying to avoid. Your soulmate has been protecting themselves from rejection while unintentionally making you question whether they care. They have been protecting themselves from vulnerability while unintentionally creating distance. They have been waiting for the perfect moment while watching ordinary moments disappear. And now their family believes the waiting has gone far enough. But the argument took another turn. Your soulmate suddenly asked, "What if they don't want me anymore?" That question revealed everything. Behind the silence. Behind the hesitation. Behind the confusing behavior. There is insecurity. Your soulmate is not as confident about you as they may appear. They wonder whether you have moved on emotionally. They wonder whether someone has been treating you better. They wonder whether their own hesitation taught you how to live without them. And one family member responded, "Then at least you will know the truth. But right now, you're making the decision for them." That was powerful. Because your soulmate realized something. By hiding their feelings, they have been denying you the opportunity to decide what you actually want. They assumed silence would protect both of you. Instead, silence created questions. And tonight, their family challenged them to stop hiding behind those questions. But there was still one thing your soulmate had not admitted. Something their family pushed them to say. "Tell us what you actually want." Your soulmate resisted. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what we mean." They tried to avoid answering. But the family kept pushing. "Do you want this person in your life or not?" Your soulmate finally said, "Yes." "Temporarily?" "No." "Then what do you want?" And that is when the entire room changed. Because your soulmate finally said the words they had been afraid to say. "I want a future with them." A future. Not another conversation. Not another temporary reunion. Not another cycle of disappearing and returning. A future. That was the confession. But the family wasn't finished. Because now they wanted to know why you had not heard those words yourself. And your soulmate could not justify it anymore. Someone told them. Stop telling us. Tell them. Your soulmate became emotional. They said they needed time. But the family argued that time was exactly what they had already wasted. Then someone asked a devastating question. If they walked into this room tonight and said they were leaving your life forever, what would you do? Your soulmate answered immediately. I'd stop them. No hesitation. No confusion. No thinking. I'd stop them. And the family noticed. One person said. Interesting. You needed 3 seconds to admit you want a future with them, but 0 seconds to say you would stop them from leaving. That exposed something powerful. Your soulmate may struggle to express love. But they know exactly what losing you would feel like. And that fear is becoming stronger than their fear of confession. The argument eventually became quieter. Not because everything was solved. Because the truth had finally entered the room. Your soulmate sat there realizing that their family had forced them to confront what they had been avoiding. And then came the final surprise. Someone in their family said they actually liked you. Your soulmate looked shocked. They had apparently assumed their family would oppose the connection. But at least one person had been watching from a distance and had formed a completely different opinion. They said you had changed your soulmate. Not perfectly. But noticeably. Your soulmate had become more thoughtful. More emotionally aware. More serious about the future. And even during periods when the two of you were distant, your influence remained. That family member said. You're different because of them. Your soulmate did not deny it. Because somewhere inside, they knew it was true. But then came a warning. If you really care about them, don't go back into their life just because you're afraid to lose them. Go back because you're ready to treat them properly. That may have been the most important sentence of the entire argument. Because love without consistency becomes confusion. Feelings without action become questions. Promises without change become disappointment. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that if they approach you, words alone will not be enough. They need to show you. And this is where the situation becomes interesting. Because after the argument ended, your soulmate did not simply go to sleep and forget everything. They went somewhere private. They picked up their phone. And they looked at your name. For a long time. Maybe they opened your conversation. Maybe they looked at an old photograph. Maybe they reread something you once said. But one thing was different. This time they were no longer asking themselves whether they had feelings for you. That question had already been answered. They were asking, how do I tell them? And that is a completely different question. Because, do I love them, keep someone trapped in uncertainty? How do I tell them, means movement has already begun. Your soulmate knows the next conversation cannot be ordinary. They cannot simply appear and pretend nothing happened. Their family has challenged them to tell you the truth. All of it. Why they pulled away. Why they hesitated. Why they became afraid. Why your connection affected them so deeply. And most importantly, what they actually want from you now. But there is one final truth you need to understand. Their family cannot make this decision for them. Nobody can. Your soulmate must choose courage themselves. And you must choose what is right for you. Because when someone finally confesses their feelings, you are not obligated to immediately erase everything that happened before. Words matter. But actions reveal whether those words can survive reality. Your soulmate knows this. That is why the fight with their family became so intense. Their family was not merely demanding a confession. They were demanding maturity. Tell them the truth. Stop hiding. Stop expecting them to wait forever. Decide what you actually want. Those words are still echoing inside your soulmate's mind. And there is one sentence they cannot escape. You are going to lose them by trying not to lose them. Your soulmate finally understands. Silence is also a choice. Waiting is also a choice. Avoiding the conversation is also a decision. And every day they say nothing, they risk allowing the story between you to be written without them. So now they are standing emotionally at a crossroads. Behind them is fear. In front of them is vulnerability. And somewhere beyond that vulnerability is you. The person whose name caused an entire family argument. The person they secretly admitted they could not imagine replacing. The person they said they would stop if you tried to walk away forever. The person they finally confessed they wanted a future with. But there is still one unfinished sentence. The sentence hidden inside the title of this message. Their family wants them to tell you the truth. They are in love with you. Not casually interested. Not simply attached. Not merely curious about what could happen. They have fallen deeper than they intended. And that is why everything became so complicated. They thought keeping quiet would make the feeling smaller. It didn't. Distance didn't erase them. Time didn't erase them. Distractions didn't erase them. If anything, the possibility of losing you exposed how powerful those feelings had become. And now even their family can see it. But remember this. The real revelation is not that someone can secretly love you. The real revelation comes when that love becomes brave enough to stand in the light. If your soulmate comes forward, listen carefully. Not only to what they say. Watch what they do afterward. Watch whether they become consistent. Watch whether they communicate. Watch whether they stop making you guess. Watch whether their actions finally match the emotions they have been hiding. Because you deserve more than a dramatic confession. You deserve clarity. And your soulmate may finally be realizing that. Tonight, somewhere inside their mind, that family argument is still playing again and again. Your name. Their silence. The questions. The confession. I want a future with them. And the challenge that followed. Then tell them. Now the next move belongs to your soulmate. Because the secret is no longer hidden from their family. The only person who may still need to hear the full truth is you.